Okay, so hello, welcome to Kubernetes Open Source SIG API Machinery. This is our bi-weekly meeting. Today is shy of mid-April, April 16, and the time keeps flying faster and faster. Thank you everybody for attending today. Thank you for the people that put some topics in for the agenda. I know it's been a couple of weird weeks with KubeCon, Europe in the middle, and people sometimes taking vacation, spring break in the US, etc. So appreciate that. So why don't we, I thought was a good recap for today to start thinking about 134 since I think next week on the 23rd is the release of 133 and probably we remove the freeze and we start working towards the next version. So without any further delay, why don't we take it out? See you, and do you want to go first? If Siyuan is here, maybe she's not here yet. So okay, do we have Aaron?
Yeah, I'm here for sure.
Could you start with your section, please?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think just hoping to kind of discuss some of the planned work for 134 related to declarative validation. So yeah, I think just for folks that are following that, essentially in 133, we merged kind of the core components and an initial piece here, kind of highlight some of the PRs related to getting replication controller to fields migrated. So that was great. But for 134, we're hoping to add sub resources support. So there's currently kind of a KEP update out actually for review here related to that. So that's going to be one of the pieces for 134. Additionally, initially we had kind of a simple validator example, which was minimum. So, the idea that a value would have to be at least, this number. But in the future, we want to have these cross field validations, which are much more complicated, where on a struct or on a field, you can have, some kind of expression that might have multiple values from, throughout the struct or even in options, looking at a feature gate, for example. So just wanted to highlight that is, coming for 134. And additionally, the idea of ratcheting. So, recently there was a PR, I believe it was Dan Winship, that did some IP uh, validation ratcheting related to a Go change. And so that was kind of cross-cutting through the code base. But the idea would be that with declarative validation, you could more easily ratchet some of the components. So Yanri is working on that, part of the declarative validation working group. And then additionally, as part of 134, we would like to use essentially these new features in an additional migration. It's likely going to be the certificate signing request, is what we've identified. It is subject to change, but just wanted to note that. And then if anyone in the group here is interested kind of in those updates, obviously we're going to put those to the interested parties from 133. But if that's interested anybody, you can look at the feature branch here or the current CAP to learn more. The docs have merged, at least just the feature gate information, but I think that'll come out in 133. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of highlight. And then in the future, we're going to document it more specifically. But here are some example PRs if you want to at least poke around or understand a bit more about what it takes to migrate a feature going forward. We're going to document this more extensively, but just if anyone's curious. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of update folks here about the status of that the feature there.
I got a quick question. I can see there's a link to an update for sub resources. Does the same update also cover ratcheting and cross-field validation?
No, that's a great question, David. But those are WIP. This is kind of just early roadmap kind of information, but those are going to be coming in probably the next week or two or so, and we'll definitely keep everyone updated on those.
Okay, I appreciate it, and I would appreciate just a Slack message when they are posted, because both of those, actually all three of those, I think came up during the review of the initial effort, and I think they're very important.
Totally. No, yeah, we'll keep you in the loop for sure, David, and everyone interested for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we're aware that they all interact, so we're not expecting any finalized approval of any plan to come in until you've gotten a chance to see all three and how they interact. But we'll be dropping them in as they become available.
Appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's the updates for declared validation. I don't know if C1's on the call or CC wants to maybe discuss any 134 items.
Yeah, I think we have Siyuan now. Maybe you want to go next, Siyuan?
Yeah, so just some heads up about the upcoming work for competitive version. So in 134, we plan to add a new min competitive version flag so that you can set it to equal to the binary version so that people can opt into the newest feature once they have upgraded the whole cluster. And then we're also adding some new version skew metrics. So this is a requirement for beta of competitive version. And then we're adding more tests for ensuring the smoothness of version bump, and then adding more checks around feature gate testing to reduce the friction of using embedded version for feature development.
Okay.
That's all I have.
I got a quick question on that as well. So I'm trying to remember it's been a while since I looked at the cap. Is min compatibility version the one that says, I promise I am not going to go back, so I want to enable new features that would otherwise be disabled?
Yeah, so this is mostly relevant to cell features. So cell features for every release right now, the compatible version of cell features are a version back. So the newest features are not being used. So this is when you promise we're not going to roll back ever, then you can start to use the latest cell features, and then all your storage versions will also be moved to the latest
Okay.
version.
So that part of it makes sense. Is this going to intersect at all with the kubelet features that today we leave disabled until we go all the way through, n minus 3? So an example here would be the Windows container security policy field, right? Or user namespaces, where it's not safe to turn on until every kubelet is at a level that understands the field. Is this going to intersect at all with that? Or is that going to be explicitly out of scope?
I think that's more like it's more about that one is more related to feature gates when you want to turn on like a beta feature. Is that right?
Okay. I just want to be sure that it's explicitly considered and explicitly excluded, unless there is some concrete plans for trying to manage kubelet permissions when kubelets are out of date. This also comes up for DRA features, for instance.
Yeah, my comment was along the similar lines, which is like we have cell today, which you can very fine grain configure to do things like min compatibility and emulation version. We're also going to have we might be adding some open API formats. We're going to have to make those emulation version aware. We might have to not turn one on for a version, which means it might support min compatibility version 2, right? Like which formats we support. And then there's other things in kubelet. So I think a really good one thing I'd like to see is kind of like a list out of all the different things that could be min compatibility version controlled and which ones we're actually going to do, and if we're not going to do ones, why.
Okay. That makes sense. I would like to see the node ones kubelet, I suppose, kubelet pieces specifically excluded unless there is a hard block on kubelet being allowed to access data. And the reason I'm worried about that is that right now, when we disable features like that until the kubelet is every level of compatible kubelets are available, we do that because it is unsafe otherwise. So I don't mind not having support for it here, but I do think we need to be explicit so that people don't have a mistake.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So we'll compile a list of features that will be supported or not supported by this feature.
Like feature categories, right? Like you don't have to, well, if you want to enumerate them all, it's fine. But in my mind, it's a category, not a specific one. And one example would be good. And the example that comes to mind is user namespaces. That one has been painful for Red Hat. So.
Well, what is that one?
User namespaces, it's a field that changes the way the users inside the containers are mapped. And old kubelets, and this goes back like 5 levels, I think. Old kubelets did not properly handle it, and so the feature had to be disabled until either you promised never to have an old kubelet, and we had to somehow enforce that, or you had every supported level of kubelet understood the field.
Okay, yeah, thanks for suggesting that.
Okay.
Very good. See, this is why it's great to just provide updates to the broader community, because all these good discussions happen. Thank you, Siyuan, and thank you, David. And then we have CC. CC, do you want to give an update on the topics you added?
Yeah, sure. Regarding with the planned work in 134, one of the features coming to mind is mutating admission policy. I know Joe spent quite some time in 133 trying to address the issue brought up by server-side apply regarding this unsigned field. And thank you, David, for all the review and discussions. I guess the final agreement is that it's hard to find a solution without bringing another issue or extra concerns. So and all the use cases which cannot covered by structured merge strategy, we're gonna have it supported. We're gonna have it like supported by the JSON patch. So if that's the case, then I think and it might be ready for maintaining admission policy to goes to beta in 134. And yeah, that's basically the proposal. And I have a link there for like updating the cap and everything. So another feature is the order namespace deletion, which come in also in 133 and also be cherry picked for all the supported Kubernetes release now as a security fix. So it's already on by default, and we would like to promote it to GA in 134 if there's no disagreement.
Very good. That's great.
Yeah.
Any questions on that one?
Ordered namespace deletion sounded good. I try and remember the state that we left mutating admission policy in. I definitely remember the conversation about does it need to handle removal, and yes, I agree that the JSON patch makes sense. The alpha implementation, I'm trying to remember how complete it was.
It's basically addressed all the use cases listed in the cap. And one thing is missing is the metrics. We're gonna add it in this release for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I would appreciate a shot at the beta criteria. If there need to be do there need to be updates? Were the criteria all good before?
Yeah, I've had a PR out for a couple months trying to update the criteria. Both of you are on it.
Okay. Sorry about that then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, everybody. The next two, very briefly. Thank you, Joe. KubeCon EU in London happened a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So Joe was kind enough to provide a SIG API Machinery deep dive status update. I was looking for the link of the talk, but I don't think it's available yet, right?
Not published yet. No.
Yeah. Anything that you want to highlight or comment? Okay, if nothing, but wondering if you wanted to say something about that.
There was a lot of interest. I mean, what we did was we just went over all the CEPs and things that the SIG's working on, plus just kind of an update of what the SIG does for people who don't know. A lot of interest in streaming. Merrick's work on streaming list results. So people are very excited about that. People are very interested in seeing, there's a couple people asking about WebSockets and when that's going to become available, because they want to punch through load balancers and stuff, and they're having trouble with the speedy stuff. So yeah, there was some very tactical stuff like that, but I think in general there was just a lot of interest in performance related stuff and things like that. I didn't get as many questions about extensibility and those types of things as much this time, but it's kind of based on who I talk to.
Very good. Well, thank you for covering it. And when we have the link, I will put it here. And then also maybe fear of missing out because I didn't go to this KubeCon, but I was wondering if there was any feedback from anybody that was there about the new format of the Contributor Summit. It's the first time we do this differently. I don't know. I was curious. Anybody? No?
It didn't feel dramatically different to me. I guess there's just busier, a little bit more people. It's becoming not all of the actually like main track talks, even at the maintainer summit, were as interesting. Like sometimes those can be really engaging. This time it was mostly just the fact that you're like grouped up with all the maintainers for the whole track.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
I feel like it was really similar, but the hallway track expanded to more people that might not have been attending because they're nominally like a maintainer for another project. There are also some other very small changes, like there is actually sponsorship now, but it's like very limited in scope, just like some shout outs at the beginning and end, that kind of thing. Nothing very intrusive. It just feels like a little bit bigger.
Okay. Okay. Could you tell was there a way to tell, who was a maintainer for what, or everybody was mixed together?
There's a track for Kubernetes
Okay.
sessions, but for like individual people, I mean, not really, but I don't feel like that was really an obstacle.
Okay. That's good. Thank you. Okay, finally, Bryce, I saw you added something last minute. Do you want to cover it?
Yeah. So this is related to API linting and schema change validation tooling that we talked about initially or brought it back up after KubeCon NA last year. Just wanted to provide a little update because I haven't really been actively talking about this with any of the folks, and I know Joel had mentioned that this was brought up at KubeCon EU between him and a couple folks. Um, he successfully donated the Kube API linter project over to Kubernetes SIG, so that's really cool. And then I'm actively working on the schema change validation tooling and bringing that up to date with what was outlined in the KEP, so we can start getting discussions on getting that donated as well. So hopefully that'll be donated soon as well. Yep.
Okay. That's great. Thank you for the update. And thank you for the link, Jongri, was available. Very good. Since we had a short agenda today, anything else anybody wants to add or discuss or mention? Nope. Going at 1, going at 2, going at 3. Okay, I think we can call it a meeting. Thank you for all the presenters. It's good to see everybody again. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks.